I am King Ezekiel, and this is Shiva. Say hello, Shiva.
Mog, get into character.
Meow.
I am King Ezekiel. Welcome to the kingdom.
Hi guys, how's it going? Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 2. Yeah, I'm very enthusiastic this morning because I've drank too much coffee. Yeah, so Episode 2, after the pretty shocking first episode of this season, which everyone expected of course, we've been brought down to a more relaxing and calmer level, which I'm really glad about because I don't think I could actually take any more of that brutality, to be honest with you. The episode itself is based around Morgan and Carol. I mean, if you remember from season 6, Carol gets shot down by one of Negan's men. Don't get me wrong, this is after she's gunned down about 8 or 9 of the bad boys, and Morgan comes to her rescue, and Morgan has taken Carol to the kingdom. Before I watched this episode, all I could think about was another community and another leader, someone else for, I don't know, the group to either team up with, be happy with, or go against, or, you know, are we going to find some underlining, horrible plot of these characters at the kingdom? And the impression I get from this first episode of seeing the kingdom is that this is really peaceful, almost unbelievable place to live. I mean, Ezekiel himself comes across as being this crazy, I mean, we're talking crazy, I mean, this guy's nuts. King, this dreadlocked king with a giant pet tiger called Shiva. And the funny thing is, the first time you see Carol is that she's laughing her head off when she's introduced to Ezekiel, when she's sat in a wheelchair because, you know, at the end of the day she's been shot a couple of times and she's there to recover. And Morgan's taken her to, it's like a cinema, and he's just on the stage. Well, it's not a cinema, it's a theatre. And, excuse me a minute. Mog, get away from there. Shiva, go away. And she's laughing her head off. She can't believe it. She thinks, what is this place? This is a joke. Let me get out there, back into the real world, please. And I really like that. And there is this great moment, and you see a little giggling face, like, what's going on? I mean, they're offering her like fruit, apples, nectarines and pomegranates and stuff, and she goes, well, if you've got any chocolate, that'd be nice. I just want a bar of chocolate, please. And that kind of fun little attitude from Carol's point of view just continues throughout the entire episode. I mean, she doesn't basically think that this place is just full of bullshit, you know. It's like, no, this is nonsense. Quite similar to how, you know, when they got into Alexandria, and there was an episode in season 5 or 6, I can't remember which one it was, when they first got to Alexandria, and everyone's all happy and joy, you know, and there's a shot where Carol's just got a nice clean housewife clothes on and she's baking and washing, and it felt a bit like that to me, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now, on a more serious note, what we discover throughout this episode is that the kingdom and Ezekiel's people and the kingdom are under the thumb of Negan as well, which I really like, and it's nice to see their attitude towards Negan. And also Negan's men, especially a couple of them, show Ezekiel with a certain level of respect. I mean, whether they believe that he is a king or not, they do have a level of respect for him. You know, they're not violent towards him, apart from one little twat who starts battering on one of Ezekiel's men. The interesting thing is that what Ezekiel and Ezekiel's men are doing is that they're actually letting some of their pigs, who they've obviously been breeding, they let them eat zombies. So they're essentially tainted pigs. And what they do is they then gather all these pigs together, skin them, and they send them off to Negan and Negan's men, hoping to, maybe there's going to be some kind of aftermath of this event. Maybe it's going to make him sick, maybe it's going to kill him, hopefully, you know. And that's an interesting way of how they're dealing with the situation. And it's also telling us, and it'll be interesting how Rick and the people, how Rick and the gang look at this way of infiltrating Negan's men and Negan's community, is by, if you can't attack them with guns, maybe it's a good way just to be a bit more sly about it and maybe, you know, use these tactics, ninja tactics almost, of just sneaking some kind of poisonous food into there. And I really like that. It's a good idea, and it's good to see that on screen, and it's good to see people not necessarily just pulling out a gun every 5 seconds when they feel threatened, and I like that. Now, going back to Carol, is that Carol automatically feels like she doesn't want to be there. I mean, so much so that even though she's injured, she's happy just to get off her ass, and she's like I'm going to sneak some clothes, I'm going to get some clothes, I'll get a bit of food and all this, and I'm out of here, see you later, I'm gone. And while she's attempting to do this, Ezekiel actually confronts her, and he confides in her and basically says, look, this is utter bullshit. Or should I say, I'm utter bullshit. I'm no king. I don't naturally speak like I'm from a Shakespearean play. What I am is, you know, before the apocalypse, I was a zookeeper, and I helped this injured tiger, and ever since that point, that tiger's been by my side ever since. Almost someone to care for. So we now know that Ezekiel and Shiva, it isn't just a way for Ezekiel to look big and bad and cool. This is his companion. This is his pet, or should I say, you know, more of a companion actually rather than a pet. And I like that. And when he kind of reveals this information to Carol, she's like, well, yeah, you know, you're ridiculous. But Ezekiel does retort by basically turning around and saying to him, well, you're pretty full of shit yourself, you know, because you pretend to be this, you know, giggly, innocent woman when in fact you're nothing of the kind. And I can see into your eyes and you're a bit of a badass and you know what you're doing, and you can't fool me. So that relationship is going to be something to look forward to, I think. And it's kind of interesting as well because Morgan is... you know, he's got this like friendship with Carol now, and it'd be interesting to see if Morgan actually maybe reveals some kind of love towards Carol, and at the same time, at the moment, you see a relationship building between Ezekiel and Carol as well. So I wonder if there's going to be like some interesting love triangle there. Anyway, in the meantime, Ezekiel has actually asked Morgan to take this young lad under his wing to train him in fighting, because this character's called Benjamin, and this Benjamin is a very, very smart lad. You know, he's got a bright future if he manages to survive all this. And in other words, Ezekiel almost looks at him as being some kind of protege, some kind of leader figure, and he wants Morgan to teach him, to train him, because this Benjamin hasn't really got that killer instinct. So, and because of the way Morgan is with his staff and his Aikido, is that maybe it'd be interesting. He wants Morgan to train his mind rather than train him to be a killer, and that's an interesting thing for Morgan, because he's never really had a student as such. You know, the last time he indulged in this kind of information, he was a student himself. So it'd be really, really good to see how that progresses. More so that I'd like to see a few more episodes of this season where Ezekiel and the kingdom don't get attacked by Negan, for example, and we do get to see these relationships progress. Now, in this episode, we don't see anything of Nick. Nick? Who's Nick? Who is this guy? We don't see anything of Rick and the gang. I can only assume that at this point, they may be back at Alexandria, or at least making their way back to Alexandria. Because there's a point in this episode where Morgan says to Carol that she's been asleep for a few days. So, I mean, we do know that the last two episodes, or should I say maybe the last episode and a half and the first episode of this season is only over like a day. So if Carol's been out for 2 or 3 days, and let's say this episode in particular, episode 2, is over like a day, then I'd like to think that they're back at Alexandria, and you know, and they're all still suffering a lot. So it'd be interesting how the timelines overlap each other. Moving on to the next episode, I mean, I've seen a few pictures of Daryl, and so maybe the next episode is going to be of Daryl and how he's dealing with the Sanctuary, Negan's home base, with the Saviours, and what Negan wants from him. I mean, is Negan going to mentally torture him like he mentally tortured Rick? Is Negan going to allow him to torture himself? And then are we going to see more of the kind of Dwight-Daryl relationship? is Daryl going to continue to threaten Dwight with his life and say, like, I'm going to fucking kill you, you know? There's no two ways about that. I'm going to kill you, mate. Or is Daryl going to keep his head down? Is he going to keep his mouth shut? Is he going to keep his head down? Now, we do know that Negan sees a proper fire in Daryl's eyes. I mean, you know, in Negan's experience, he knows that Daryl doesn't pull any punches. You know, pardon the expression. But he doesn't pull any punches. And is he going to be a soldier in, you know, the sanctuary? Is he going to be one of the saviours? So it'd be interesting to see how episode 3 goes on. But all in all, I really, really enjoyed episode 2. Like I say, it was a breath of fresh air from the first episode, and it was the great way to go. I mean, before I finish the video, the opening shot is of Carol's with her eyes closed, having dreams of visions of people dying, zombies dying, and the people and the zombies almost overlapping inside Carol's mind as she's seen these visions. So she's looking around on her, essentially her sick bed, and she's seeing some of Ezekiel's men take out some zombies. She's envisioning those zombies to be real people. And that's interesting to show us where Carol's head is at this point. So I'm really looking forward to Revolution. And I'm really looking forward to the evolution of Ezekiel's character in the kingdom. And I can't wait to see Shiva again. And I'm really looking forward to where Daryl is in the next episode as well. Right, guys, well, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you watch my next review of episode 3. Please check out some of my other videos. I'm having a few problems with my Wi-Fi at the moment, so everything's taking just days and days and days to upload. But please, please click subscribe, like this video, check out my son's videos. Always a pleasure, never a chore. Peace out, and we'll see you next time.